This is Akashvani. In the program Spotlight, now we bring a discussion on government's white paper on the Indian economy. The participants are Professor Anil Kumar, economist, and Rajesh Lake, anchor.
Professor Kumar, where was the need to bring the white paper and what are the key objectives outlined in the government's white paper on the Indian economy?
White paper has been brought out at this point of time. And to me, this government could have come out with the white paper when government assumed the power in 2014. But it didn't. What were the reasons? The economy was really in bad shape. The financial sector, that was in a really mess. The investors were not coming forward to make investment in this country. And the climate was very negative. And people used to say word over that there's a policy paralysis in this country where the policy decisions are not taken. There were delays, there were a lot of corruptions, lot of scams which surfaced very clearly. And if I talk about some of the scams, coal scam, 2G scams and all this. Now, government could have come out with the white paper in 2014 itself. That means in that case, what would have happened? The world over, the investors also, they came to know how this Indian economy is, what is the state of the Indian economy. Their confidence in making investment in this country would have been shaken. So that was not the time when the white paper should have come out. But now, after 10 years, why this has been brought out now? Because this government came to the power on the plank of development. Vikas, that was the only mantra of the government. The results cannot come out in a 1 year or 2 years. It's a bit long-term process. Seeing that the background when at that particular point of time before 2014, government inherited a bad government. There was absence of quality infrastructure. The private sector was not making investment. Ports were working beyond capacity. Roads were suffering from congestion and lot of corruption, unreliable, inadequate power supply that increased the cost of production. So with the reform process undertaken by the government in the last 10 years, the things are very much different. So I think that the public should be aware that what was the state of the economy before, where we were, and now where we are. This has been acknowledged not only by the data or by the government of India, but also world over, the World Bank, the IMF. They have pointed out in very clear terms that Indian economy is the bright spot in the global economy. When almost all the countries in the world, they are sinking or they are at a very slow pace. Indian economy is developing at a very fast pace. So the purpose of this white paper is to understand and to give the information to make the people up that where do we stand now. This is the what has been brought out. This is all the facts, figures and everything has been brought out in the white paper. So this is the purpose of white paper, that not only the member of parliament, not only the public, but the people, all the stakeholders, they come to know that where do we stand now and what is the way towards the future.
So, Professor Kumar, what you said was that there was the rescue of the economy from a state of crisis, despair and paralysis to a macro situation of the past year, which shows there has been a major success from fragile 5 to top 5 in a decade. What do you say?
Yes, absolutely. At that time, the Indian economy was a fragile economy. The inflation was very high. It was unmanageable, I would say. The confidence of the foreign investors was dwindling. In 2004, we were expecting double-digit growth, and suddenly we started from 8% in 2004 and suddenly started declining every year. So from that state of economy, we are the 5th largest economy in the world, growing at the fastest rate. This is a big achievement of the government, and this should be highlighted. This is what the white paper has done it exactly. Now, I would like to throw some light that how it has happened. You remember that the NDA government came to the power only and only on the plank of development, Vikas. That was the only mantra of the government. That means the whole focus of the government when it came to the power was on development. And the first step which was taken by the government and in the first independence speech, our Honorable Prime Minister said and introduced the scheme of financial inclusion under which Prime Minister Jan Dhan Yojana was launched. And that was a part of a jam trinity. That is, Jan Dhan account, Aadhaar and mobile all were linked together. And over the years, 50 crore accounts have been opened in this country. So what benefit it has given to the economy? The large part of the economy, large segment of the economy, excluded from the banking services, they have come within that particular banking services and the insurance services also. But at the same time, the large segment of the population has become and connected with this is the Direct Benefit Transfer Scheme, DBT, highly successful scheme, under which all the beneficiaries are getting the payments directly into their bank accounts. That means no middleman, no leakage, no corruption. I remember that sometime back, Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, then Prime Minister, he said press conference that if I send rupee 1 from the center, only 15 paisa is received by the beneficiary. That means 85 paisa, 85% of the whatever grants or whatever subsidies or whatever benefits were given were pocketed by the middleman. That was the state of corruption. So that is a thing of the past now. Another thing was that to have the development of the country and to give employment to the vast population, it was necessary to have the focus on the manufacturing and to invite the investors not only from this country but from abroad also to come here and to invest in this country. For that, in the very first year, government started with the scheme of Make in India. That is asking the people to come here and start manufacturing in this country. But it was not just a slogan. It was supplemented with ease of doing business. Before 2014, it was very difficult to start and to close a business in this country. What happened, that time the World Bank used to come out with the ease of doing business ranking. Our place was the lowest. Can you imagine that? The government had it focused on working, many laws were removed, and the result that in the next 3 years, we were at a very high pedal so far as doing business is concerned. Another step that the government took was that of One Nation, One Tax. GST was one of the biggest reform in this country. That means wherever you produce, whether you produce in North India, South India, Northeast, One Nation, One Tax. It facilitated the manufacturing and business like anything. Another two schemes I would refer is, one is PLI scheme, Production Linked Incentive Plan. That if you produce more, certain sectors were identified, about 14 sectors were identified. If you produce, manufacture more, you will be given the subsidy, the incentive for that. And the direct tax reforms for new manufacturing units, the direct tax rate was reduced to just 15%. Why this was done? This was done to reduce the cost of manufacturing. Then only you can stand in the global competition. So this is exactly what has happened at time before 2014. Our share of manufacturing in GDP was just around 10%. And now with the constant efforts of the government and focus on manufacturing, it is around 18% of GDP. And our focus is, our aim is to get up to 25% of share of manufacturing into the GDP so that we are able to generate more and more employment and give jobs to crores of people, young people in this country.
Yes.
Another thing is, startup ecosystem was created in this country. Today we are the third largest startup ecosystem in the world. More than 100 unicorns are there in this country. So far, fintech companies are concerned, India is thought to be leader into that field also. So name a sector, the all-round reforms have been done. I would add one more point. Whatever development has taken place, it is all inclusive development. If I talk about some of the welfare schemes of the government, Ujjwala Yojana, under which the cylinders were given to women, the poor women. The Pakka houses were given to the household, to the people in the rural areas. Under the Jal Jeevan Mission, drinking water was provided through the pipelines. Then 50 crore people of this country was covered under Ayushman Bharat, free insurance, health insurance scheme, one of the largest schemes in the world. And for the last 6 years, 80 crore people are provided free food and the Prime Minister unused.
Yeah.
Imagine that more than 80 crore of the people, they are now the partner in the development process of the country. Everyone is being benefited by the development.
I would like to draw your attentions to the efficiency of on how the capital was utilized, improved due to whole of government approach using Gati Shakti and monitoring through Pragati. Your take on it?
The focus of the government was on the infrastructure. Right from the first year in 2014, the way road network, highways, the stateways and the roads in the village areas were built and constructed at a fast pace. This is a very good example. We have been able to construct and give good infrastructure to facilitate movement of people, movement of goods also. And the Gati Shakti scheme, under which not only the roads, but the railways, the ports, all were connected together to have seamless connectivity. The government has also set up the logistic part. The aim of all these is to reduce the logistic cost. The logistic cost in our country has been very high, and with these we have been able to reduce the logistic cost so that our product becomes competitive in the global market. Another thing is that the capex. Capex investment used to be 1.6% of the GDP. Now it is more than double. It is 3.8% of the GDP. When you are making the investment or when you are spending for capex, for capital expenditure, it has a multiplier effect. That means if you spend 1 rupee, the impact on the economy would be 2.5 to 3 times. That means it has a huge big impact on the economy. This is exactly what has happened, especially after COVID era, when the economies world over were down and down. The government of India started making investment into the capital assets, into building up of the infrastructure. It not only provided the jobs to millions of people, but at the same time, it boosted the allied sectors like cement, steel, the construction sector. And at the same time, it had the effect on the ease of doing business, ease of moving, and also the ease of living. That has a very big impact in boosting the manufacturing sector in this country.
Professor Kumar, you mentioned very elaborately on the reform measures undertaken by the government, which have significantly elevated the medium-term investment prospects of the economy. Both the domestic and foreign investors express high optimism regarding India's growth potential, anticipating lucrative opportunities as the Indian economy expands. In fact, more specialized funds are being crafted to cater to investors seeking exposure to India's equity markets. In fact, India is now a must-have in one's portfolio, and this can be understood from a recent statement by a renowned investor. And he said India is a sweeping investors off their feet with their allure and promises of great rewards. I too am fascinated by its huge growth potential, and this was the fund manager Mark Mobus. So that too is the indicative of how India is moving forward, how India is doing well, and how well India has prospered, which is being shown in this white paper.
The stock market in this country is third largest now, and we have the record number of demat account in this country. That means more and more people are investing in the stock market. You can see the impact on the Sensex and the Nifty index also. We have the record FDI coming to this country. That shows the confidence of the investors into this economy, the confidence of the investors into the policies of the government.
We can discuss quite many other things as well. Thank you for your valuable input, and thank you for being with Akashvani.
My pleasure.
You are listening to a discussion on government's white paper on the Indian economy. The participants were Professor Anil Kumar, economist, and Rajesh Lake, anchor. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of Akashvani. You can listen to it on a mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on a YouTube channel, News on AIR Official. You may share your feedback about this program through email at airnsdtalks@gmail.com or WhatsApp on 9289094044.